All right, how's it going, everybody? Derek Lalone here from Model Schools. Once again, just going to take a minute or two here to go through our offerings for the remainder of the week here. So today, this afternoon, we are doing Freckle with Mark Cuss, who I'm going to turn it over to in just a minute. But to just review what we have going on tomorrow is tomorrow at 11 a.m., our top 10 Google tips to save your sanity. And Friday afternoon, we're doing another live Q&A session where we're going to address questions that have come up within some of our districts, as well as any questions that you may have. As always, be sure to type your name in the chat to make sure that you get credit for today. And as always, please subscribe to our channel so that way you get the live updates as they're coming in. And with that, I am going to turn it over to Mark.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Mark Cuss. I'm Model Schools Technology Integration Specialist. And today I'm just going to go over some continued learning with Freckle or using Freckle. Those of you who have a Freckle account already, you can use it quite a bit with your students at home. But I've had a lot of questions coming from teachers as well as parents how to get some communication. And Freckle does not offer a online feedback. So therefore, you're just going to have to continue to look at the data and then offer students feedback, and however you're using feedback, if it's through Classroom or another source, but that's one way to do that. So a couple of the things with Freckle at home. Right now, Freckle, if you do not have a Freckle account, or you know of other parents or teachers in other districts that don't have a Freckle account, they can get a free Freckle account. It's open right now for a free account. However, the caveat is lately with Freckle accounts, parents have been establishing a free account, and I'll show you that in a second. And when they do get a free account, they're associating the school that their student goes to, and then it's ending up showing up in the admin board for the school. So what the parents have to do, if you communicate with parents, is they're going to have to select their role, not as a teacher, just as a parent, and then ensuring that they are not saying that they're associated with a school. So going into the Freckle platform, if you're following along, there is a sign-in, just like the usual sign-in for a teacher or a student or as an administrator. But down here, there is a sign-up for a free account. So if you have anyone who's signing up for a free account, they're just going to put in their credentials and whatever their email is. And once they do that to create an account, it's going to give the message that to support teachers and parents, their unlimited free version of assignments for all teachers through June. So the next thing they're going to do is select the role. So what we would want is if personally, if you want to use this at home, select parent, where you're located. You'd say United States, but do not say that you currently work at a school. If you do work at a school and your school does not have or doesn't have a Freckle account, if they eventually do get one, you'll show up on the account, but it'll be later deleted. But just say I don't work at a school, and then they can select what grade their child is in, and then they can go from there, and then they can select the subjects, and then click next. And then a parent at home can use this. So we have parents right now that are signing up for free accounts if their school does not have a Freckle account, and they can roster their own child just by adding the class, naming it, putting their child in for the appropriate grade. And then the student has access to utilize all the resources that's available. Just like a school that has the account, They just don't have the premium version of unlimited printables and such. So that's just one, a lot of questions that I've been getting personally with districts that do or don't have Freckle accounts if they're going to sign up. There is a blog, so sort of an at-home guide that parents can see, and it's blog.freckle.com. So if you go there, it's going to be sort of a guide for parents. So you can send this on your Google Classroom. I've had some parents or teachers send this and say that email account, students can still get access to free resources using this. If they do have a Freckle account, then they're already using your school Freckle account and signing in. But this just goes through and explains to parents what independent practice means, some video guides on how to navigate the dashboard if they're at home working with their students, and also how to sort of create a class. And also the important thing is the class code, which the student would sign in with. And then just going down, it pretty much explains step by step of all of the different tutorial access, printables, activities, and it gives a little images of that, as well as the fast facts, the ELA library, sort of explaining to parents as if they were acting like a teacher at home. For those of you who have these, this is also a great resource to look through and see the different resources for there. So just to preface that again, if students are or parents are using free accounts, or teachers yourself are using free accounts, you can access it going through Freckle.com and then just say sign up for a free account. Just don't associate yourself with a school. If your school is using another platform already, and this, you can use this just in addition to that. So a couple of things from 2020, for those of you who have been on Freckle, Freckle has added several different updates, and this is on the blog Freckle.com, and this is for middle school students, particularly 6th through 12th grade students. There's been all sorts of updates added. So one of the features that I'd like to point out is when students get on there, because not all the time from a teacher standpoint that we get to log in as a student unless you're sitting next to them. But now that they're at home, they're seeing a little bit more of this stuff on their own. And what it is that the dashboard's basically changed to make them feel a little bit more independent and focused. There was a lot of feedback given to Freckle that most of the dashboards were geared towards K-5 students, and the 6 through 9 students needed a little bit more emphasis on keeping themselves focused and coming up with sort of a growth, showing them the growth. So there's a lot of different things in here, their daily practice, their weekly goals, and the platforms changed a little bit, and therefore because those students can access. So there also is a new adaptive experience for those 6 through 12 students as well. Their pathway is going to look a little bit more like a middle school student would like it to look, and compared it to the elementary level, which it's pretty basic. So also the interface not only has changed, but the questions are a little bit more complex for middle school. So the age appropriate reward center has also changed for middle school. So now, like their avatar, which was routinely looking more like for an elementary student, now they're going to have access to do a lot of different things with their avatar. And probably one of the best features that has been added is the updated tracker page for assignments and practice. So this is expanded tracker for 6th through 12th grade students, and this gives them an opportunity to look at their growth and progress and see how they're doing on a day-to-day basis. So it sort of holds them accountable, and it's a little bit more personal And also another feature that was added was the fractions in fact practice. Used to be just the 4 major operations, and now they've added fractions in there as well for those middle school students. Not to say that you won't have a 5th grade student or a 4th grade student if they're moved beyond the facts practice and they've achieved a little bit more. It's going to adapt, and eventually they'll be in fractions as well. So it's not just for 6 through 12, but if they're assigned in 6 through 12, this is what it would look like. And also middle school content. As you know, Freckle is signed with Renaissance, so Renaissance has a larger platform and a lot more resources. So there's been a lot more resources added to middle school students, or over 874 different math questions have been added, and a lot more reading as well. So that's a feature that I've heard a lot of feedback that has been very helpful for middle school students to keep the students engaged and challenged. So again, there's the link, and afterwards, those who are attending this session, I will send my presentation as well as all the following links, so you'll have access to them as well. And if you have questions at any time throughout this webinar, you can add them to the chat board, and we'll do our best to answer them as we're going along. And another great feature that Freckle has also is they have free training webinars. This is useful if you want to share this link with parents as well. If they're at home and they're working side by side with their child and they have some questions or concerns, a lot of these short videos, some are lengthy, but it's mostly like in Freckle Math or the introduction ones. But it's going to give parents or teachers that are new to this platform an explanation of how to use the dashboard and ELA and the available resources, as well as the data and reports. So it's really, these free webinars are always available. And again, they're on the Freckle main page, and they're under the resources for webinars. And then of course, there's the Freckle blog that I showed you that has a lot of updated resources, as well as Freckle support, which is going to answer any questions. And you can search a question on here, and it's any one of those questions that teachers, parents, administrators have asked. They're right there. So a couple of things that we're getting is, how do we use Freckle now that you're doing Freckle at home with students and they're sort of on their own? And as a teacher, when you're logging in, and I'm logged into, so I'm going to log into my account as a demo account for students, but there are a lot of questions of how can I use this sort of day-to-day, because Freckle works in a fashion where students are working in math and ELA independently, and it's adapting throughout. But if you want to assign students, once you're signed in, you excuse me, you can go to the assignments and you can add an assignment. So if we're doing a math assignment, you can do those adaptive practice, the benchmark assessments, and so on and so forth, based on what you see in the student data. The tab where it says math over to the side, and you go to math content. The online practice, there's an adaptive pathway for math, but over to the right, there is a printable resources, and you can generate printable resources. If you click on the printable resources for any grade, so if I selected 3rd grade, I can print, in this case, since I'm in the VBS account, I have unlimited printables, but you would have the option in the free mode to go in and generate a PDF. You can save that PDF if you want to. And this PDF, this particular one is going to make it for this domain. In it, at the very bottom, it's going to give all the answers to the question. If you want to snip this out, I have a couple of teachers right now who are putting these into either a Jamboard, or you can put it into Smart Tools, and you can put it on a smart board, and you can actually clip it or upload it into there. So you could save it as a PDF in a folder, and then you can pull up that folder. And that's a way, if you invited students, for those of you who might be doing small group or remote small group through the use of Google Meet, or if you're doing it with a Jamboard and you're inviting students into a mini jam, they can go in there and students can work on questions as well. So that's a really great feature, is having those generated printables. And also for ELA, there is, whoops. For ELA, a couple of the things that are on here for those that are new is this correlation chart. So when we go into, you can do it by grade. You can also do it by strand. But a couple of questions that we get is the correlation chart. When stories say that they are a Freckle level of a 1C or a 2B, this correlation chart is a good chart to print out. If parents are doing this at home, if you want to share with them, this is sort of the Lexile range, and it also does the F&P, and it does the DRA, so, or a star scale. So again, this correlation chart is a nice tool to have at home when you're assigning groups of students. And again, for the ELA content, you can go through and you can assign stuff as well. So just a lot of different features on Freckle that you can do at home, other than the activity feed, seeing how kids are doing on a daily basis, clicking in there, and then assigning those students. But I think right now, a lot of the feedback that I've gotten from administrators, as well as other teachers, is how do we provide feedback to the students? And that is one feature that I think we've let Freckle know that if there's a modification they can make, is the feedback that's sort of built in the teacher dashboard that you can provide to students. But at this point, since we're doing this continued learning, I think the best way to provide feedback is if you're using Google Classroom or you're using another communication tool, is to sort of look at the data that that child has done and give them some good feedback. I saw that you did really good in this reading, but I'm assigning you this. So that way that you're communicating with the students why you're I think that's really one of the big things for math, is in any content, just like ELA, is that you have all these generated printables, and you can generate those, you could print them out. If you're using them as a Jamboard, if you've been trained with Jamboard, or if you need training with Jamboard, you can let me know, and we can help get training for Jamboard. But Jamboard basically is like a live whiteboard that's found in our Chrome extensions. So you could print one of these resources, you can save one of these resources as an image, because Jamboard has to, you put images in there as well. So, and again, you can just assign students anything from this platform, but I think some of the great features of that right now is the printables. You can save those printables, and you can insert those printables into your Google Classroom, or in some cases you can make it into a jam and invite your students to a jam so they can participate almost like they were in school doing a small group. So again, just to review some of the things, the Freckle accounts, Again, they're free right now as of June. If you sign in as a teacher, you have unlimited access to everything up until June at this point, and that may or may not change. And then also parents or other teachers who do not have school accounts, you can go to the Freckle at home blog, and you can utilize and set it up yourself. If you're setting up an account or you need help setting up account, you can reach out to me. It's mcuss@moric.org, and I'll help you set up your account, and I can walk you through, or I'll share my slides with you, and a lot of the questions that you may have. Or you can also go to these free webinars, and the free webinars are great tools to sort of help you get students rostered or explain a little bit how to use the dashboard. And in this slide, this is basically a slide that I've done for all schools that I have implemented Freckle. And at this point, we have about 6 or 7 districts in our region that are using Freckle, and the usage has been quite a bit at home for students that are using it. So they're finding it quite useful, and also keeping students engaged. And again, with math being adaptive, you're reaching all the diverse student population. And then one good thing is that Freckle is used if you're a new user to this, or you know somebody who's a new user. It's accessible and any web-based at anywhere on any device. So you can use it on an iPad. There's an app, Freckle Student app. Or if you're using a Chromebook, you can just access it going to freckle.com. Or if you're using a phone, you can use it by a phone. So whatever device students may or may not have at home, they may have one of those devices or something else, they would be able to access it with their code. And if your parents are new users, some of the things is the class code, just entering the class code, whatever the teacher code or the code that you made up. And then of course the student logging in with their first and last name that you assigned them to. And if you have any further questions, you can email me at mcuss@moric.org, and I can send you other information or other documents that I have on Freckle. Or if you're just a new user and you want to sign up to Freckle, then I can assist with that as well. And I'm going to stop there for a moment. If anyone has any questions, you can add it to the chat board. Or if there was something I didn't touch on. There is one thing, I didn't see any questions, but there is one thing that teachers are asking about, and that is student roster. So if you're in a student in 5th grade, if you select down to the student, you can go to where that's the settings here. There is an update, there's a printable card, but there's this one feature here that says edit the dashboard. So this is one feature I'm getting a lot of questions on, is this particular student. If you notice the dashboard here, everything is selected. As a teacher or a new user to this, if you had a child that's in K2, then it probably wouldn't be necessary to have anything that's the expressions. So you can just click and unselect these. And once you place apply settings, it'll now change the student's dashboard so they wouldn't see that. Or if you have a student, and this particular student is a 5th grader, if they don't need the counting cardinality or the basic version, you can unselect those as well. And you can do the same thing if you have ELA. If you had a dashboard for ELA here, it would have all the same things. You can apply the student settings, confirm it, and now when the student logs in from their student point of view, and I'm going to log in as a student, their dashboard would be a little bit different. When they logged in and they clicked on math, they would no longer see all of the other things. So if they didn't need basic numbers or basic facts, or they didn't need decodables or sight words in K2, then they would no longer see these. So again, as a teacher or a new user, you have the ability to adapt a student's dashboard or adjust it so that they would. And I'm saying that and prefacing that when students are using iPads, it sort of takes up the entire screen of all of these features. And if they don't need them, they don't need to be there. Okay, well, I appreciate the time you took to review some of the updates to Freckle and the access of free accounts. If you have any further questions or concerns, you feel free to email me and let me know, and I'll answer those questions, and I'll assist you the best I can to get you up and running with Freckle.
All right, thanks, Mark. We're going to hang out for a couple minutes here. And if there are any other lingering questions, please feel free to drop them in the chat. But if there isn't, have a good day and stay safe out there.